Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. In Season 2 of Hacks and Hobbies, we're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. In this episode, we get to speak with Alan Wade. He's an award-winning author of Awakening, Out of the Darkness into the Light book. I had the opportunity to speak with him and got connected with him through my good friend Robert J. Moore. And I had a little conversation with him and I was like, wow, that is an amazing story. So I invited Alan over and just today, I checked out his LinkedIn profile and I saw Tony Robbins, and we all know how much fascinated I am with Tony Robbins. So, Alan, thank you so much for taking the time and coming to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So, tell us about your story. But before you get into that story, or maybe we should get into the story of how you got to meet Tony Robbins, if that's okay with you.
No, that's fine. I met Tony Robbins when he came to Toronto the last time. I believe it was in September. He had a big event in Toronto, so we went down and I'd been to Tony Robbins events before, but being almost in the front row, we were lucky enough to have VIP tickets. It's kind of like being in the front row of the greatest motivator there is, right? Yeah.
Oh my God. You're right. It was probably the same event that I went to a month before in August here in Virginia, and it was him and Gary Vaynerchuk came in before him, and just experiencing Tony Robbins for the first time in a stadium, it almost felt like that I'm at a concert, but then I'm getting fed this amazing information, this amazing motivation. It just like brightens your day. It just opens your mind up to so many things. Is awesome.
Yeah. Actually, the concert, that's exactly what it feels like. I've been to many concerts and going to his events. You better have your running shoes on because you're going to be busy, and hopefully your deodorant works for the whole, like he went for, I believe it was 6 hours straight, no stopping. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. That is a very, very accurate description. So, Alan, tell us your story. How did you become the author of The Magic Within?
Actually, that is kind of...
Actually, you have two different books.
Yeah, and the Magic Within: How to Transform Your Life was the first book my partner and I wrote, and we both suffered some very traumatic events in our lives, and we became addictions counselors. And I worked for a mental health organization in Canada, and we wrote that book, the first one, to help more people. Like, it was always, the organization only can help so many, so we wrote that book to reach out to as many people as possible to have triumph over trauma, right? And in the first book, I wrote a couple pages about what happened to me when I was 10 years old. And when I was 10 years old, I was raped when I went into a church by someone from that church, and they basically told me I deserved to be punished, and if I told anyone that I would get punished again. So I wrote that in the Magic Within book, but I didn't really go into much detail, and I sort of, when I do a lot of speaking to organizations, the question always came up, well, what did you go through? How did you get over it? And those kind of questions. So when I met my good friend Robert J. Moore, and we did a book together, he read my story in that book because we did Magnetic Entrepreneur together. And when he read that, he says, "Oh my God, I have a similar story of trauma and triumph over trauma." And he said, "We should write a book together." So I jumped on that opportunity, and I went into much more details about what happened, after I was raped, and how it adversely affected me and all the emotions I went through. And so that's how awakening out of the darkness into the light came to exist, is because I met this now my mentor and my partner, a friend of mine. He helped. He did so much work to get this awakening book out. It's amazing. I owe him a lot for the work he put into that book. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. No, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty amazing. Having the courage, right, to come out and talk about these things is it's really amazing. I mean, and then having the ability to help others. I mean, I think that in it itself is something that we all are able to do, right?
Yeah. When I wrote Awakening, I put in there, and I make sure to tell people that the first thing I would recommend for getting help is don't do anything the way I did it, because I did it in the 70s. Boys were taught not to cry and not to ask for help, and there was this thing about being strong. And so I went through everything basically by myself. From 10 to 15, I didn't even know what had happened. And then at 15, when I realized what happened, it was like I was hit with a sickness of, I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I'd gone through already 5 years of fear, living in total fear, trauma, guilt, shame, blaming myself for what had happened. And at 16, I just I couldn't take it anymore. I was without hope, and I went and took a gun from one of my friend's parents, and I went off in the bush, and I put that gun in my mouth, and I pulled the trigger. And when nothing happened, the first thing I thought was, "Oh, you can't even get this right," and I tried it again. And that's how
Oh man.
I was living in darkness at that time.
Yeah. Communication is absolutely very important, and having an outlet, having that ability, or not just ability, but having support and a system in place to let people come out and talk about their feelings is super important. I mean, I can't even wrap my mind around this, and like how it would have felt.
Well,
Um,
yeah, like I said, I would tell people not to do anything the way that I did it, because after the gun incident didn't work, all that sadness and crying that I did all that crying in secret, because boys don't cry.
mhm,
All that turned to anger, and
right.
from 16 to 27, I lived in total anger. It was my shield, my blanket that kept everybody away from me, kept everyone in fear, so that no one could hurt me. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So how would you recommend, like what would you recommend that people do? I mean, definitely seek out support, right?
Oh, yeah, you were absolutely right when you said, yeah, that talking about it and getting support is the way to do it. And that's what I would have done it now, because the funniest part of this whole thing is, I never really tell the story till I'm an addictions counselor, and I'm nearly
Yeah.
50 years old, and I'm lecturing to the group on abuse. And I looked up and said,
Yeah.
I know what it was like to be physically abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused, and sexually abused. And it was like
Yeah.
it slipped out. I had no conscious intention of telling anyone, and I remember that day quite well when I said the words to somebody else.
Mm.
I started getting flustered, and I started panicking a little bit, and I turned away from the group to compose myself. And when I turned back, I continued with the lecture, but that was actually a pivotal day in my journey, because I'd already been in a pretty good place up to that point, but it was the last step in the journey of totally
Hmm.
letting go of all of that, those emotions, all of those feelings, and starting, to finish off the healing process totally. So when you said talking about something like that with other people, well, that is very important. That is one of the best healing ways to heal yourself, is to actually talk about it and let it out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why, they have the groups such as Alcoholics Anonymous. They have the groups for single mothers and single parents and whatnot, because it's, I mean, human beings are social animals, and there's a reason why there's a social in front of the animal, because we love telling stories, we love listening to stories, and we love communicating our feelings and our thoughts to each other, because that's what makes us human, and that's what makes puts us in a natural state. And our brain is not designed to be, a place to store things. It's designed to take things, analyze, and then speak out. One of the things
Mm-hmm.
that's I'm a Muslim, right? So one of the things that our prophet says is, you have to share your story. You have to, like, if you've learned
Yeah,
something good, teach it to teach it to one more person, teach it to two more people. Because if you're only doing it for yourself,
yeah.
you're not going to make it in the hereafter. And yeah, it's absolutely something that we can do. Wow.
Yeah, you're so right about speaking it, and people don't realize when they hold on to past things that have happened in their life, or their resentment towards somebody or something or some organization, that's kind of eating you up inside. And the only way to really move forward in a positive way is to let it go and start speaking about what's going on. And you're right. If you have something good to share with people, share it. And I get asked a lot right now why I wrote about it, and then why I wrote in Awakening Out of the Darkness into the Light. Why did I write with so much detail? And really, the only thing I can tell them was it was the right thing to do. Like, I want
Yeah.
to I'm not looking for anybody's sympathy or a pat on the back. I'm just a normal guy that learned how to let go, and I want other people to realize, you know what, it's time to stop blaming yourself. Because you know what, I blamed myself for years because that person told me it was my fault I was getting punished, right? Yeah. So the more that
Yeah,
I speak about it, the
absolutely.
more that I can reach the people that suffer in silence. And that's our goal, is to reach out to many people and tell them, you know
Mm.
what, there is triumph over trauma. There is life after the darkness. You can do it. And if you, like you said, find some support, whether it's an NA group, AA group, sexual assault group, counseling, if you go and do something different,
Yeah.
you're going to get something different in life instead of
Yeah.
getting what you've always got, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So true. And then there's been so many cases recently too, right? In the world, we're hearing of actors, like um, super popular or super successful people committing suicide and taking their lives, and because of mental health has been pretty high on the radar as of last year, maybe a few years, but I think last year it's been talked about a lot more. In fact, we've had some cases in the community where, you know, somebody took their own life, somebody took, their own life and somebody else's. And it's just it's just crazy. People, you just need to realize that, not everybody is perfect, and we're we're not perfect. And even though we might think that, no, I can handle this, I can do this on my own, you still need to help. You still need help from
Yeah.
someone else.
I agree totally. When I'm lecturing to people, a lot of times people come up and they tell me in a way that they say, you know what, I know what you went through, sort of thing, and they thank me for being brave enough to speak about it in public. And it's like you say, now it's becoming more and more. Um, People are realizing that there is a lot of things going on in the world, and part of the process is get rid of the stigma behind mental health. And when somebody needs help or asks for help, just help them or guide them to somebody that's going to be able to help them. And it's like you said, these people that are very rich and very
Yeah.
powerful, and they seem to have the perfect life. Well, why are they ending their life in what most people would want? Well, it's because of stuff inside, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that reminds me back to Tony Robbins. So when I attended the event, he had, I think towards the end of it, or
Yeah.
maybe towards the middle, I can't remember, but he had the photo up of Robin Williams. And he said he had the opportunity to speak with so many people who were on the ledge to, take their
Yeah.
life. And he brought them, he basically turned it around for them. And he said if he had the opportunity to speak with Robin Williams, he would have done the same thing. And it just comes down to show, we we know people with such big hearts, and we know people with such amazing things. It's just mind boggling. And I'm sure he shared that same story with the event that you were at.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that. You know what? That is one of the tragedies of life. I was there. I know what it's like when you feel like it's hopeless. There's no way to. For me, it was the constant feelings, the constant memories, the
Mhm.
pain I was going through. And
Yeah.
that day that I put that gun in my mouth, I can tell you, I know what it's like to be right at the door and to
Yeah.
to jump over the edge. But when I pulled that trigger, that gun didn't work. And so,
Yeah.
you know, that darkness, the more people that can hear the message that there is always a
Mhm.
light. And you know what? Talk to someone, ask for help is the first step to changing your life. And those were things I didn't do.
Exactly.
And now that's one of the focuses of me is of my purpose in life is to tell people, you know what, even in the worst of your darkness, hang on for one more minute, hang on for one more day. You never know what's around the corner. Because if at 16 I would have succeeded in
Exactly.
killing myself, I wouldn't have had my great kids that I have. I wouldn't have my loving partner, but I wouldn't be on this in this field where I'm helping people change their lives. Because, like Tony Robbins, I've had a lot of people I support on the verge of suicide, and I've helped them to get through one more day. Right?
Yeah. No, that's absolutely an amazing quality and an amazing thing to do. What's also interesting um, of all this mental health talk, right? Um, since I've been part of the podcasting community, there's some really there's a few podcasts that are talking about depression. They're talking about mental health, talking about the different things that people have to go through and how there's help available. In fact, one of the podcasts is Pop Psych 101, and they're talking about the psychology of it all and how it relates to movies and how it relates to people. And I'll have him come on the podcast later this month. But they've got a really amazing stories on there, and I think that's another way. Like if there's something that, because a lot of people, what a lot of I guess a lot of times what happens is you just keeping those thoughts to yourself, like you mentioned. You're just keeping those thoughts to yourself, and you just keep thinking about over and over. And the the key is to just get the word out, like remove it from your body. I mean, just like, and it's gonna. I don't know if it's gonna sound insensitive, but we eat
Exactly.
food, and then we have to get rid of the excess, the bad
Exactly.
stuff from our body, because if you don't, it's gonna make us sick. And so the same thing happens when there's something bad in our heads and we're not getting it out. It's just gonna make us sicker and sicker.
Yeah. Exactly. You're a fan of Tony Robbins. He tells you all the time that what you're thinking about, you're creating, right? So imagine you're
Yes.
thinking about life. Life is hard. Life is terrible. Life is unfair, and you keep thinking about this and why doesn't anything go for me? Or you focus on traumatic event that has happened in your life, and you blame yourself. Well,
Hmm.
the more you have that running around in your head, the more it becomes your life. Yeah. So the key
Exactly.
to what you just said is, and it's pretty simple, is ask for help. Talk to talk to someone. Don't do
Yes.
like I did. I was my programming. We're all programmed. I had beliefs that were instilled in me by, like you said, TV, the radio, the teachers, police, my parents, my brothers, my environment. Oh, you're supposed to be a tough
Yes.
guy. You don't ask for help. Well, those are all somebody else's beliefs, and if you go with those beliefs, you're never going to ask for help. Well, I'm here to tell you right now that those beliefs will keep you exactly where you are, and you don't want to be there. Going to ask for help is a sign of strength beyond, yeah, beyond. Oh, I can get through this myself. No, no,
It is.
asking for help is is real strength. And for men and
Absolutely.
women to step up and say, you know what, I need help, I have the utmost respect for, because you're right, we can't do it all by ourselves. Yeah.
Yep. Wow, that was a really heavy chat for sure. And not to make a light of it, it's very important for anybody and everybody to just pay attention to what they're putting in their minds, what they're putting in their heads, and how we can uh, ac- overcome it by communicating. And that's one good thing about um, the television programming. And these days, um, even in cartoons, even for kids' cartoons, they're explaining, hey, if you're feeling something, you got to speak it out. It's okay to talk about it. It's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to, and they're teaching that at a very young age, television programming and cartoons. But there's still, there's like a lot of morals, underlying morals that are being taught in television and in the media, and I'm just glad that we have this openness in the world now that we can that it's okay to talk about this kind of things, and it's it's not going to affect you. It's not going to say that you're not strong. It's that you're not worthy of any something else,
No,
or
I agree totally. The media needs to actually even set that message out even more. It's great that it's come out to the kids, and kids are beginning to hear that it's okay to ask for help. But the media has to get it out even more. That you know what, it's all right. There's nothing wrong with you. It's if you're asking for help, it's actually a sign of strength, of realization that you know what, I need some help, and I'm not going to let my ego or what anyone else says stop me from getting it. And that's what the problem is we worry about what other people will think about us, right? Yeah. Yeah, I worry that if
exactly.
anyone's seen me cry or ask for help or weakness in me, that they would just, I'm not even sure what I was thinking, but I'm probably something about being teased as a kid or a teenager.
Hmm.
So, that was my own programming. And then looking up and saying
Yeah.
in the 70s, something like that against the church, how many people would have believed a 10-year-old kid or a 25-year-old man,
Hmm.
or even like now it's a little bit more
Yeah.
out there, but there's still this people coming forward with fears of being ostracized, or you know whatever they're feeling that's stopping them from saying that something happened to me, 5 years ago, 5 days ago,
Yeah.
5 minutes ago. So the getting the message out that
Yeah.
that it's okay, that it's all right to ask for help is quite important, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that the kids are hearing that now.
Hmm. Absolutely. So, some of the questions that I asked towards the end of the episode are, so you told us your journey and your story and how you overcame those struggles and wrote a book, and you found found the help, and you um, found partners to help you get that story out, which is really amazing, and it's really helpful for the world to hear. So something, since we talk about hacks and hobbies here on the podcast every once in a while, and so wanted to ask this question. So what is one hobby that you wish you got into?
The hobby I would have liked to get into when I was a kid, because I really loved cars, would have been race car driving. Yeah,
Ooh, that's one of my
yeah,
favorites.
yeah. The old days,
And
we made a lot of hot rods and stuff, but there was no
mhm.
race tracks where we could have really went out and actually had some fun. So I would have. I even today I still have dreams of being a race car driver.
Well, it's never too late. You can always give it a try.
Yeah, yeah. I thought about going to one of those racing schools
Hmm.
just to experience it.
Yeah, yeah. I think a few years ago they would have these Groupons where you can purchase and get to drive these race cars, and either in a closed track or on plain roads. But yeah,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So what is one of your favorite movies or TV shows?
You know what? I like this movie. It's on Netflix. It's
Mhm.
called Travelers, and
Travelers. Okay,
yeah. Have you seen it?
I have not.
It's about people from the future coming back to the past.
Mhm.
They take the conscious mind of somebody that's just about to die, and they come back to
Mhm.
the past to help mankind to create a world that's a much better place, because in the future, mankind's basically ruined the world and now they're all dying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'll have to check it out. It
yeah,
sounds really cool.
yeah.
Okay. So thanks for that tip. I will definitely check it out. All right. So what is your favorite superhero?
You know what? My favorite superhero would be Iron Man, because you know what? If Tony Stark's an amazing inventor and billionaire, but a
Mm-hmm.
normal person with the suit could be a superhero, right? It's the suit that
Yes.
makes him the superhero. The fact that he built it, of course, is great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would do Iron Man. I
Yeah.
really like Iron Man. Yeah.
Nice. He's one of my
Nice.
favorite superheroes also, because he has the ability
Yeah.
to build something like that. I mean, that mind
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
just full of so much genius. Being able to build that suit out
Yeah. Yeah.
in the caves,
Yeah.
right? It's like, wow, that's crazy. All right, cool. So, last question. If you were a board game,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
board game like Scrabble or, Monopoly or whatever, which one would
A
you be?
board game, a good board game. You know what? I like. There's a few board games. I like Risk, because it's kind of like playing chess with
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of people. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
more about strategies
Yeah,
and forward thinking. So I think Risk would be the board game I like the most. It's the one I played the most. So yeah,
nice. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for your time and energy and telling us the story. Really enjoyed learning your story and talking about Tony Robbins, talking about mental health, and talking about being able to, reach out. And because you are not weak, we are all very strong, and it makes you stronger when you reach out and ask for help, because asking is a very strong thing to do. Not everybody is able to do that.
no.
So reach out. Where can people find you and the books that you have out?
The people can find me on our website. It's called the Magic Within
Okay.
Series.com. And if they want to email us, they can email me there, or they can email me at the Magic Within Series at gmail.com. The books
All
are
right.
out on Amazon.com and Amazon.ca. Awakening has been live for a month now, and The Magic
Mm-hmm.
Within, which was the first book that we wrote, is on Amazon.ca as well. So yeah, if they have any questions, anyone wants to reach out to us, they can contact us at the Magic Within series, because it's a series of books. .com.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. And I'll be sure to include the links to all of the properties on the show notes, as well as we're creating a guest profile for all of our guests on the Hacks and Hobbies website with all of the contact information, so they can easily find you.
Perfect. And you know what? I want to thank you so much for helping me to get the story out. I greatly appreciate your help and what you're doing as well. Thank you for doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. You're welcome so much. I appreciate it. All right. Well, thank you so much again. We'll talk
Thank,
to you
thank,
soon.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode on Hacks and Hobbies. We absolutely appreciate your contribution. You can find additional notes on hacksandhobbies.com. Please share the podcast with your friends and tell them what you learned about our guest today.